$2,700 a month and you act like you're some kind of savior. Her voice was sharp, theatrical, like she was performing in front of a crowd. My mother-in-law sat back on my couch, sipping tea I bought, in a house I paid for, with the of someone who'd never lifted a financial finger. It's really not that much, she added, as if spitting on the years I'd spent grinding for that paycheck. I turned slowly to look at Dennis, my husband, my supposed partner. His jaw tightened, but he didn't defend me. Honestly, she's got a point, he muttered. You make it sound like we'd fall apart without you. That was when something shifted. It wasn't rage, not even sadness. It was silence, a sudden, deafening kind. The kind that comes right before the storm, or the escape. I looked around, that living room, eye scanning the things I had paid for, the TV, the coffee table, the rent deposit, the artwork, all of it, their comfort. Bought by my exhaustion. Their entitlement. Built on my silence, and yet here they were, treating me like a guest overstaying her welcome. I smiled, not out of joy, out of clarity. I see, I said softly, placing my bag gently on the floor. So, $2,700 is small. And I'm just lucky to live here. Dennis shifted in his seat. Don't twist it. I'm not twisting anything, I replied. I'm just listening. And I finally heard you. That was the moment everything became weightless. The moment I knew, not hoped, not wished, but knew I was done. They thought they were cutting me down, but they were setting me free in the beginning. Things weren't magical, but they made sense. Dennis and I weren't some whirlwind romance. No passionate declarations or midnight love letters. We were measured, intentional. Adults who talked about the future over grocery lists and shared coffee orders. It was the kind of love you think will last because it's practical. He had steady work at a mid-sized firm. I was a few years into a stable job, climbing slowly but surely. We had plans, not flashy ones, just a life built brick by brick. 2 incomes, no kids yet, modest house, fair division of chores. He made me laugh. I gave him stability. It worked. We didn't rush into marriage. And when we did decide, it wasn't with starry eyes, it was with spreadsheets. I appreciated that. We discussed living arrangements, finances, even potential support for his mom, who lived alone after his dad passed. It all felt ... His mother seemed supportive at first. At our engagement dinner, she called me a bright, capable woman, and squeezed my hands like she meant it. I believed her. She even offered to help us with some wedding prep, and when she gave us her old china set as a gift, I remember feeling touched, like I was truly becoming part of the family. There were no big warning signs, no red flags waving in the wind, just small promises, quiet smiles, shared goals. I thought we'd navigate marriage the way we approached everything else. As a team, equal, fair. I believed in that version of us, the version where love was respect, where support didn't need to be begged for, where we were both climbing, together. But teams require effort from both sides, and I didn't realize I was already the only one paddling. By the time I noticed the silence on his end of the boat, we were already drifting toward a storm I hadn't seen coming. It started with a phone call. Dennis's voice was unusually urgent. Mom slipped on the porch. Sprained her ankle. Nothing broken, but she's having trouble getting around. I felt immediate concern. Is she okay? I asked. She's fine, he replied. But I was thinking, maybe she could stay with us for a week or two while she heals. A week or two. It sounded harmless, reasonable, even kind. I'd met her several times by then. She was polite, a little dramatic, but warm enough. And Dennis clearly adored her. I wanted to show I was supportive. That I was family. So I said yes. At first it was just small adjustments. A few rearranged cabinets so she could reach things easier. Slippers at the front door. Extra groceries, but weeks went by, and her ankle healed. Completely, yet the suitcase stayed. Her shoes took over the entryway. Her framed family photos appeared in our hallway. My quiet mornings vanished, replaced by unsolicited advice and critiques on my coffee-making technique. I brought it up one evening, as gently as I could. Has your mom mentioned when she might feel ready to go back? Dennis frowned, like I'd said something offensive. She's just getting comfortable. What's the rush? That was the first time I realized my opinion had an expiration date. The second time was when she started referring to the guest room as her room. The third was when she suggested we switch the living room layout because it doesn't feel welcoming. By the third month, I wasn't hosting her anymore. I was living in her space, just footing the bill for it, and somehow, I still told myself this was temporary. The money talk started over breakfast. Casual, like we were discussing the weather. I was thinking, Dennis said, not looking up from his phone. Since your income is more stable, maybe you could cover the mortgage. I'll handle the smaller stuff. Groceries, internet, stuff like that. I blinked. We'd agreed on a 50-50 split. That had been one of our pillars. Balance, partnership. But I hesitated, and he noticed. It's just temporary, he added quickly. I'm still figuring things out at work. And Mom's here now. It would help. There it was again. Temporary, I agreed. Because that's what partners do, right? But temporary turned into indefinite. The mortgage was hefty. $2,700 a month. I was putting in longer hours, skipping weekends, pushing back vacation. Meanwhile, Dennis's small stuff became smaller. First, he stopped buying groceries. Then I noticed I was paying the utility bills. Then he forgot the car insurance. Every month, I picked up another piece. She never acknowledged it. She just started acting like the house belonged to her. Rearranging furniture. Throwing out ugly decor I'd chosen. Hosting brunches for her friends, with food I paid for. One afternoon I walked in to find her gossiping over champagne. Mine. I opened our joint account one day to check on savings. It was lower than expected. Much lower. I flipped through statements. My deposits were regular. His were absent. When I confronted him, he brushed it off. I've been meaning to transfer. I'll catch up next month. Next month became never. Started to notice things. Expensive takeout receipts. Subscription charges for services I'd never used. A spa appointment. 2 concert tickets, I never went. But Mill had. The financial imbalance wasn't just accidental. It was strategic. I was the bank, and they were the entitled beneficiaries. I wasn't just paying for a house anymore. I was funding their comfort, their laziness, their warped version of reality where I owed them everything and they gave nothing in return. And still, I stayed, because admitting the truth felt heavier than carrying the debt. The first time I pushed back, I barely raised my voice. Hey Dennis, it's been 2 months. Are you planning to catch up on your share soon? I tried to keep it light. He didn't even look at me. Wow, he muttered. Didn't realize you were keeping score. That stopped me cold. Keeping score. I was keeping us afloat. I didn't mean it like that, I said quietly, but it was already too late. The mood had shifted. He closed his laptop and walked out of the room. The next day, Mill cornered me in the kitchen. You really embarrassed him, she said, voice low like we were in on some secret. You know how hard it is for men to feel inadequate. You should uplift him, not shame him. Shame him. For asking about a mortgage he told me to cover. That's when it began. The quiet unraveling of my reality. Suddenly, I was too controlling, cold, not understanding. Told relatives I was obsessed with work and never home. Dennis told friends I nagged and didn't trust him. The very effort I made to keep everything together was turned into ammunition. They questioned my tone, my timing, even my memory. You never said that. I told you already. You must have forgotten. You're overreacting. Those 3 words became the chorus of my life. Overreacting, overthinking, overstating. Meanwhile, Dennis napped all day and Mill ordered lunch deliveries while critiquing my career choices. A woman so focused on money will never keep a husband, she said once, while scrolling through shopping apps on my Wi-Fi. I began to question myself. Maybe I was cold. Maybe I wasn't being kind enough. I started apologizing for asking questions, for being tired, for feeling anything at all. That was the trick. They didn't want me gone. They wanted me small, and I was shrinking, day by day, without even realizing it. I didn't have time to think anymore, only to function. Wake up at 5:30, shower, commute, work a 10-hour shift. Grab a cheap dinner from the corner deli. Take the last train home. Collapse, repeat. Somewhere in that haze, I stopped speaking, unless spoken to. My body was present, but my mind had gone quiet, too tired to protest, too numb to cry. Weekends were no different. Mil expected a clean house. Dennis expected silence. If I left a dish in the sink, it became a lecture. If I forgot to wash towels, she called me lazy. Meanwhile, Dennis slept in until noon and asked what was for lunch. I started losing weight. My skin broke out. I forgot names. Misplaced things. Once, I nearly fainted in the shower. I leaned my head against the tile and whispered to no one, what happened to my life? But no one was listening. One night I came home late. My hands were full of groceries, my back aching. I opened the fridge and found it empty. Again, I checked the trash, 3 takeout bags, gourmet stuff, steak, sushi, dessert. They hadn't saved me a bite. In the sink were 2 wine glasses and an empty bottle. I stepped into the living room. Mill was on the couch, scrolling. Dennis was watching a show with his feet on the table. Dinner, he asked, glancing at the bags in my hands. I just got home, I said. Mill sighed dramatically. In my day, a woman would have had a hot meal waiting for her husband, no matter how tired she was. I froze. That was it. Not the money. Not the silence. Not even the lies. It was that one sentence, so casual, so cruel, that finally broke something clean inside me. I looked at her, then at Dennis, and I didn't feel anger. I felt done, not defeated. Done. The next morning I made coffee like always, smiled like always, nodded politely as Mill complained about the garbage bag being too full again, but inside, something had shifted. That quiet, dangerous kind of shift. The kind that doesn't announce itself, it just begins. I opened a secret savings account on my lunch break. That night, while Dennis played video games and Mill dozed on the couch, I sifted through drawers, pulling out receipts, furniture, appliances, the television. I kept everything, photographing each one and emailing them to myself with subject lines like proof, mine, backup. I changed the passwords on our joint bank app. Not to take his money, he wasn't putting any in, but I needed to know exactly when withdrawals were happening and what for. I reduced my contributions, transferred just enough to keep the lights on. If they wanted takeout, they'd have to budget for it. They didn't notice. They were too used to being carried. Then I started apartment hunting. Nothing flashy, just something safe. Something mine. I took viewings after work, brought cash for the application fees, packed a single bag with the essentials and hid it in my trunk. A pair of running shoes. 2 days of clothes. My passport. Every day, I moved one item out. Quietly, a book. Here, a necklace there. I told Dennis I was reorganizing. He didn't ask what that meant. I saw a lawyer. Paid in cash. Asked every question. Learned what I was entitled to, what I could take, what I couldn't, and how to do it without them getting in the way. The more I planned, the calmer I became. They still thought I was their provider, their silent supporter, their fool, but I wasn't planning to fight them. I was planning to leave, and this time, I would not be asking permission. It was a Sunday afternoon. Warm, quiet, the kind of day that pretends nothing will go wrong. I made tea for all 3 of us, not out of courtesy, but control. I needed them seated, still sipping, unsuspecting. Can we talk? I asked. Dennis grunted, scrolling. Mill looked up, annoyed. Now yes, now. I set a folder on the coffee table. Inside were 12 months of statements, transfer logs, and printouts. The mortgage payments, utility bills, credit card charges. All from my accounts. Mill flipped through one page, scoffing. What is this supposed to prove? That you've both been living off me. Every dollar, every meal, every light bulb. My voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. The truth spoke loud enough. Dennis chuckled, nervous, deflecting. What, you want me to pay you back? No, I said. I want you to sign this. I slid a second envelope across the table. Divorce papers. Already signed by me. Mill's smile vanished. You can't be serious. I turned to her. You told me I was lucky to be here. That my contribution was small. That I wasn't doing enough. So I'm giving you a gift. My absence. Dennis stared at the documents like they were written in a foreign language. You're overreacting. I laughed. Softly. You've been underreacting for a year. Then I stood. I'll be moving out by Friday, I said. Everything in this house that I paid for, the couch, the TV, the dining set is coming. With me, I have the receipts. It's not revenge, it's reality. Mill opened her mouth, but I cut her off. And before you try to guilt me, remember who emptied that fridge. Who mocked me while I worked double shifts. Who called me a guest. In my own home. Dennis picked up the pen. Slowly, Mill hissed at him not to sign. He signed anyway. I gathered my folder, tucked the signed pages away, and nodded. Double quotes, thank you, I said. Now you can finally live in your house, just the two of you. And I walked out, without looking back. It didn't take long. 3 weeks. After I moved out, I got a text from a mutual friend. Hey, did you hear Dennis is behind on the mortgage? I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Then came the updates, always secondhand, always unsolicited. Mill had started picking up weekend shifts at a local grocery store. Dennis was working construction. Temp jobs. Nothing stable. Apparently, they were stunned by how fast things unraveled without the girl who only worked a job. The takeout stopped. The deliveries stopped. The bills, though those kept coming. They tried to keep up appearances, but you can't fake peace when you're drowning. I heard they fought constantly. That Mill blamed Dennis for letting me go, and he blamed her for poisoning everything. Meanwhile, I was thriving, no drama, no late-night shouting, just quiet mornings and clean sheets. I didn't feel smug, I felt free. Let them figure out how to live without me. I already knew how to live without them. My new apartment isn't much. Just a one-bedroom with creaky floors and sunlight that spills in at 7 a.m. like it knows it's welcome. The couch is secondhand. The coffee table is scratched, and I love every inch of it. No one sighs when I walk through the door. No one asks what's for dinner. No one glares at me for existing. Peace is louder than I expected. It hums in the quiet, in the clink of a mug, in the way my cat curls against my legs at night. I used to think I needed chaos to feel alive. Turns out, I just needed a space where I didn't have to justify being tired. My body has changed. The dark circles under my eyes have faded. I sleep through the night. I laugh more. People at work noticed first, told me I look lighter. I think they meant happy, but I took it literally. That house, that marriage, that weight, it's all gone. I picked up old hobbies again, painting, running, calling my sister just to talk. I don't spend hours explaining myself anymore. I don't defend my worth. I don't beg for love. And, maybe the strangest part, I'm dating again, slowly, carefully. A guy from the office who used to admire me from afar, always respectful, never pushy. We talk about books. He remembers my coffee order. Once, he told me, "You seem like someone who knows who she is." I smiled. Because I do. I used to think leaving was losing. That walking away meant failure. But I was wrong. Leaving was the moment I won. Not because I hurt them. Not because karma came calling. But because I came home to myself. They took my energy, my time, my love. But they never touched my spirit. And now that I've reclaimed it, I protect it like treasure. This isn't a comeback. This is the beginning, and this time, I'm the one writing the ending.